There's something cold in the neighborhood. Who are you gonna call?
Snowplow?
Just say Ghostbusters!
Welcome back to the Out of Touch podcast. I'm Chris, and that's Bill, and today we're watching Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. So, Bill, what did you think of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire?
Well, it's at least the third or fourth best Ghostbusters movie.
I mean,
I
yeah.
guess.
Yeah. I
mean, there's not that many.
No. There's, I guess, 5 Ghostbusters movies now, but only 4 that are worth talking about.
He said it, not me. But that one does suck.
And we'll just leave it at that. But anyway, this is the sequel to Ghostbusters Afterlife. And
essentially Ghostbusters 4.
It's Ghostbusters 4.
How did that happen?
I don't know. It's weird. It was like 30 years of like being like, when there's going to be Ghostbusters 3? And then all of a sudden it's like, well, now there's Ghostbusters 4. So
now the question is, will there be a Ghostbusters 5?
I guess we'll find out. But I liked it. I thought it was really good. It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was enjoyable. I had fun with it. You know, we're picking up with the characters from the previous movie, the Spanglers.
Yes.
And Paul Rudd, who I guess is married to Egon's daughter now. They never exactly say it, but that seems to be the case, especially what happens at the end.
Yeah, I guess so. You know what's bad? It's like, you remember the name of the girl, Phoebe, and then all the other characters.
That's her name.
Yeah. All the other characters, I'm like, who are these people? What's her brother's name?
I can tell you all their names. We have Stranger Things boy, Egon's daughter, Ant-Man, girl Egon, girl who was unfortunately in Madam Web, podcast, and the old school dudes who Ray and Winston and eventually Venkman.
Which girl was in Madam Web?
The Lucky.
Oh.
I remembered her name.
Huh.
Yeah, she was one of the Spider Girls.
I guess she's a Sony regular.
I guess so. If you're getting paid.
Yeah.
No one will remember you were in Madam Web. It's fine. Maybe you're getting lucky. You get to be a Ghostbuster a third time.
Yeah. Well, this movie takes place 2 years after Afterlife. They're in New York City. They're ghost busting because it's Ghostbusters, the movie.
Winston reopened the firehouse, and the Spangler family took up shop, and it's like, all right, we'll do it.
Yeah. You know, I'm trying to think, like, how to go about talking about this movie, because the plot is kind of like a Ghostbusters-y plot. There's a McGuffin that is like an artifact from...
mysterious haunted ball of doom.
Yes.
That's basically what it is.
Pretty much. I mean, we get like a early like look at like where the artifact came from at the beginning of the movie, where it's like the 1900s. We get to see the firehouse actually being a firehouse.
With a horse and buggy firefighter team.
Yeah, with that like weird cauldron thing they had on those things, which I'm assuming is like some sort of like water pump that they used to use back then or something.
I don't know.
There's sure a lot of smoke coming out of that. I'm like, did that thing make that much smoke? I'm like, maybe in the early 1900s, like everything made that much smoke.
Of course.
Do you know how dirty everything was back then? But yeah, so cut to modern times. You know, they're fighting ghosts. We get a pretty cool action scene at the beginning of the movie where they're fighting a dragon or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if it was supposed to be a dragon or well, let's face it, it's New York City. It was one of them legendary sewer gators.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I think they say dragon. But I think they're just, I don't know. You know, they use the gunner seat more. We see them use a remote control trap. They introduce the drone trap.
Which is cool. I was like, all right, that's fun.
Yeah, that feels like maybe that's something that is more recent developed. But we know the remote control thing's a little older because it was in the last movie.
Yeah.
I don't know why Winston didn't put more money into fixing up Ecto 1, because he seemed to be like, don't worry, girl, I'm going to fix you up. Kind of dropped the ball there.
Seriously.
Ecto 1 at this point should have like a new coat of paint and should be like completely decked out for this movie. At this
or
point.
just like a different car that they modified to be Ecto something else. I'm just saying in the first Ghostbusters movie, it was like an old car, and that was in the 80s. So in the first Ghostbusters movie, the Ecto 1 hearse was like a 20 or 30-year-old car, and now in 2024, it's like a 50-year-old car. Maybe they need like a different car. Just saying. Yeah, I know it's iconic.
Look, you're not wrong, but you can still use the outer shell. And it can still look like Ecto 1.
Yeah.
You can't change Ecto 1 that much. It's Ecto 1.
I mean, to be fair, if they changed Ecto 1 to like something like a Tesla, I'd be furious. So, like, I'd be like, what is this travesty? That car should make so much pollution.
I'm just saying, if Winston's supposed to be like super rich, Ecto 1 should be a little more decked out.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it should be like the Batmobile. I'm just
No.
saying it should just look a little nicer at this again, like it did in like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Well, maybe 2, because it was a little nicer in 2. Ecto 2, or no, Ecto 1A. Sorry.
No.
Looked a little better.
Yeah. It is funny, though, because the car is kind of like falling apart. They have like a few issues with like the lights turning off and everything. Also, you know, what's one thing that always bothers me about like Ghostbusters in general? And it's just a movie, but I'm like, why are they allowed to speed? They're not like cops or anything, so...
Usually, I would say they're not allowed.
But I guess nobody cares.
They're chasing a dragon ghost. There was that funny bit with the cops are like, it's like, should we do something? Should we call it in? Nah, they got it.
Yeah.
That's one thing I liked about this movie. Like, at one point early on, it's just like, they acknowledge everything. It's all acknowledged in the news. Yeah, the Ghostbusters. There was that crazy thing with the Statue of Liberty that one time. Yeah, it's all real. We know.
Yeah.
No more pretending. No more sweeping under the rug. No more vagueness. It's explicitly acknowledged as everyone understands that this shit is real.
Which is cool.
It's about damn time.
I appreciate that the Ghostbusters still make a lot of collateral damage catching a ghost.
Of course, because they're shooting out a freaking laser gun.
Yeah.
Which is being controlled by a minor.
Yeah, a little girl with a laser gun.
And freaking Dickas.
He's Mayor.
He's back.
Mayor Dickas. I appreciate at the end somebody in the crowd was just like, Dickas! Like...
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
So great.
They saved the day, you dickless asshole.
Yeah. Just like, man. It's like, I guess Mayor Dickas, or whatever, he was Councilman Dickas.
No, he was definitely the mayor.
No, but I mean in the old Ghostbusters movie.
Walter Peck was a member of the EPA.
Okay. Wow, you actually know his name.
Yes.
Just like, I know that guy. He's Dickas.
I know Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Of course. But, yeah. So, Mayor Dickas tells the Ghostbusters that, like, you're not allowed to ghost bust with a minor.
Yeah, he basically benches Phoebe.
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to remember her name. Gotta stop calling her Girl Egon.
She's the only character I know her name.
Because she is kind of the main character.
Yeah,
in
like
these
everybody,
two movies.
like even her brother, I'm like, brother, mom, Paul Rudd.
Yeah. I want to say the brother's name is Trevor?
That sounds right.
Yeah. And then, I don't know. It's Paul Rudd.
Yeah, it's Paul Rudd.
His Ghostbusters uniform may as well just say Paul Rudd on it.
It's Paul Rudd and Mom. The only other character I remember the name in this movie is Podcast.
It's not even a name.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have a name.
No, his name is Podcast.
I do like that they built up him having a friendship with Ray that they kind of introduced in the last movie.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah.
I like, you know, the utilization of the older Ghostbusters in this movie. It's mainly Ray and Winston.
Ray more so, honestly.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. You know, he's still into the occult. He's got his store and everything, and he's providing material to Winston's, I guess, like, ghost research lab.
Yeah.
That seems to employ a couple of people, but we really only see, like, the one British scientist guy.
Yeah, we only mainly see him, and Lucky is an intern there.
Yeah.
Because she was involved in a ghost busting incident, which I guess makes you qualified for an internship. It's like, oh yeah, you helped bust a ghost. Come on in. We'll teach you some stuff.
You have paranormal experience, so
it's good
that's
enough.
fine. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, that puts her above most of the competition.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. She got turned into a demon.
She did get turned into a demon.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
So did Paul Rudd and the mom.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, they did.
'Cause it was all Zool, and
And Vince Clortho.
that's right. But yeah, so we got that aspect of it. I don't know, like, I remember seeing, and I think you even told me that this movie was kind of like inspired by like the Ghostbusters cartoon more than like the other like movies, which I can see that a little bit with this. Like,
It does feel like the villain of the week that you would see in like a bigger episode, or even like a 2-part episode of that kind of show.
yeah,
It-
which it works,
I mean, Gozer and what's his name, Vigo.
Vigo.
They're basically villains of the week.
Yeah.
They're just plot devices. They're not. They're just there. They're an obstacle.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I guess another new character in this movie, man, I'm not even going to try to say the actor's name because I'll probably mess it up, but it's that one actor from Eternals and stuff.
I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. I've seen him in stuff before.
Yes.
Eternals.
That guy. He's good in this movie. He's really good. His character's like pretty funny. He's kind of like a degenerate in some ways.
If you were gonna talk about this in terms of Ghostbusters characters, he's this movie's.
Yanish.
I was gonna say Rick Moranis.
Oh, yeah, a little bit, yeah.
'Cause, he's at the kind of the center of supernatural goings on. Yanish was like a brainwashed minion.
That's true.
Honestly, I thought the blonde dude was gonna get brainwashed when he grabbed like the thing and it froze him. I thought that was either gonna like kill him or maim him, or it did maim him. But
It
I thought
did.
that was gonna like be like, now I'm under your control, Iceman.
He did have a cast on, or maybe it was just a sling, but
Yeah, like a bandage on his hand.
Yeah.
Because supernatural sub-zero temperatures are dangerous.
well, like they're saying that like it actually is like true absolute zero when you get frozen by it, which is a real thing, like 0 Kelvin or whatever. It's like the coldest something could actually be, where particles and atoms and stuff just stop. So
And I do like that we have an ice-themed villain, and the film is set during summer.
yeah,
So it's all hot, everyone's sweaty.
it's like another heat wave in New York City. Also, I guess like that Ghostbusters firehouse does not have air conditioning because they have like a million fans going around.
I mean, that's an old-ass firehouse. It was run down in the original movies, so...
I mean that would be rough,
yeah.
especially in like a brick building like that. Oh my god. Like seriously. But we get some nice returning things like Slimer, which he shows up a couple times.
Yeah, they basically, and I mentioned this to you as we were leaving the theater, that they kind of dusted off an unused subplot from Ghostbusters 2. In Ghostbusters 2, there was like a deleted subplot where Rick Moranis' character was trying to catch Slimer in the firehouse. We see kind of remnants of it, but like the whole thing is not there. And this is they kind of bring it back with the brother trying to catch Slimer. He kind of runs into him, he's trying to catch him, he's leaving out like Cheetos, product placement.
Yep.
See you, Sony.
It's how they do it.
Better use of product placement because I didn't really notice it.
I mean, the most egregious product placement I can think of in recent memories is like Power Rangers 2017, where like Rita Repulsa is eating the Krispy Kreme donut in a Krispy Kreme restaurant.
And everyone kept saying, we got to get to Krispy Kreme, guys. To the Krispy Kreme. Though,
Yeah.
I heard Madam Web's villain was killed by a giant Pepsi sign.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I guess.
Which
I can't believe that movie failed.
Yeah, it's a darn shame.
Oh, this is a Sony movie as well. We got that 100 years of Columbia Pictures logo.
That logo is probably in front of Madam Web.
It sure was. Person that made Columbia Studios 100 years ago. It's just like, this is the type of movies your studio is going to make in a century. Are you proud?
He just went and just jumped.
But anywho,
Well, his office was on a second story and he just landed in the bushes. He was fine.
yeah.
Then he got hit by a car, but
Yeah.
that was like 3 weeks later.
Oh, yeah.
I will say, going by the trailers, I honestly thought Venkman was not going to show up until the third act. So when he popped up a little earlier, I'm like, oh, I guess we got a little bit more Bill Murray.
Yeah. was fun. Bill Murray being Bill Murray in a movie. It's always cool. Yeah, it's one aspect of this movie that I almost thought they were going to kind of go with, but it really didn't turn out that. But, like, one of the plots of the movie is, like, the containment unit is, like, malfunctioning because it's, like, possibly, like, too full. And it almost seems like, when they catch a ghost, they just put them in the containment unit indefinitely.
Yes.
Where, like, I almost thought, like, with the subplot of Phoebe befriending this, like, ghost girl, that maybe it was going to kind of be, like, something where they're going to be like, oh, well, we just can't catch ghosts and lock them up forever. We have to, like, try to help them, like, pass on or something. But it didn't really go in that direction.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they've dealt with, in, like, I think in the cartoons and I think in some comics I've read, they've dealt with, like, the ghosts be like, you've trapped us here. How dare you?
Yeah.
Do you know what it's like?
Yeah, it is kind of weird that they're just in this thing indefinitely. They even, like, bring up the fact that, like, hey, listen, we built this in the 80s. We didn't really think about, like, long-term effects of this thing just, like, being on indefinitely. I mean, Winston bought the firehouse just because it had the containment unit in there. And he was just like, yeah, this is, like, cornerstone of, like, the city and stuff, and can't let this get into the wrong hands. But he built his own containment unit that's, like, bigger and better, that can hold more ghosts.
Yeah, they get that whole ghost lab. They got the viewing rooms with, like, scary monster ghosts and then just thing that just possesses things.
And little tiny, like, Slimer ghost or whatever.
Weird little ball that spews sludge.
Yeah. I mean, the ghost slime thing is definitely, like, a Ghostbusters, like, trope.
Yeah.
I don't know if they started that, though, with, like, that affiliation with, like, ghosts and, like, slime and ectoplasm.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
But I would say they most likely popularized it.
Definitely. It's like slimy ghosts.
One of them is literally called Slimer.
Yes. Which, he flies through the brother 2 times. He's covered in slime.
Slimer has an accidental hero moment.
He does. It's pretty good. With the ghost that can possess objects, and he just possesses a pizza, and then Slimer eats the pizza.
I do like the movie version of Slimer where he's just this sort of, like, chaotic thing that maybe once in a while he'll do something nice, like when he picked up and gave Rick Moranis a lift to the big end fight.
Yeah. For the most part, he's just interested in, like, eating.
Yeah, that's all he cares about.
And
food and more food.
I don't even think he eats, like, isn't it like he eats the food, but it, like, immediately falls out of him pretty
Usually.
much? Yeah.
That's what we saw in the original movie. And there is just a pile of whatever.
Like, yeah, it's just garbage. Like, it's really weird because he can phase through stuff, but he just leaves slime behind for some reason.
Well, he's just some kind of slime entity.
Yeah. That's the interesting part of Ghostbusters in general. It's just, like, a lot of these things are not always, like, people that are dead. They're, like, kind of weird
Manifestations.
Yeah, they're like spirits or demons.
Interdimensional rifts and things like that.
Yeah, kind of like Lovecraftian type of stuff.
Yes.
And
a few years back, they actually sold, like, a version of that book they used to mention, the old ones, the Tobin Spirit Guide, and it describes all, like, the lore of the ghosts and Ghostbusters, and it's all this different stuff.
Which is pretty cool. Well, I guess we should talk about the Demon Man, the guy that's freezing everything.
I mean, he's not in much of the movie. He's mostly an off-screen presence.
Yeah.
The threat is his, like, return. Ghost Girl tricks Phoebe into
becoming a ghost briefly.
Yeah, so he can control her and use her to puppet her own body to say an incantation that'll shatter the magic evil ball and let him escape so he can go and reclaim his horns. And then they just randomly threw in a scene because he saw a sign that said, are you the fire starter? Then die.
Fire master.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was something, and unless I just kind of like nodded out got distracted for a second, but I remember in the trailers, there was a shot of, like, the Spangler family on, like, the roof, and then, like, seeing the guy coming, and Paul Rudd being like, oh. That wasn't in the movie, right?
No, it was not.
That's too bad. That moment was kind of cool. They all, like, the coats on and everything.
Yeah.
That was a cool moment. What the hell?
seems to happen more often lately.
I'll say. A cool moment in the trailer. It's just not in the movie, even though it's like, why? That was one of the cooler moments in your trailer.
Yeah.
Just because it was just like, it's spooky, but then it's a little silly. Because that's how Ghostbusters is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spooky, but then silly.
Plays it right.
Yeah.
You know, we got the scene in like the library with like Pat and Alice Wall explaining like, you know, this demon guy and everything, and that was a pretty good scene.
We get a brief reappearance of the library ghost, and I'm not sure if she recognized Ray or not.
Yeah.
Because she was just like, shh, and then he's like, wait a minute. No!
Oh man.
It's kind of cool seeing the lion statue come to life.
That was a good moment.
Yeah.
It was also like, you know, some of the lore with like, you know, the ancient, I guess more or less Ghostbusters, how, you know, this entity was imprisoned in bronze, and at first the proton packs wouldn't hurt this guy because they use like copper to conduct electricity, but then Phoebe modifies one to like with bronze, and it shoots like a more crazier version of the proton beam out, which I thought was kind of cool. Although, like, the way she did it was like, yeah, I guess that's good. They just, like, melt a bunch of bronze and then just, like, dip the coil in. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
This looks like science, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Didn't have enough to do anybody else's, apparently.
All that bronze melted perfectly. You didn't have any slag to take off the top. It's a movie, though. We don't have time for that.
We gotta go.
Yeah.
Clock's ticking. We had to cut out the scene of them on the roof being like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, for final battle, it's kind of cool, I guess. Like,
Yeah, everyone gears up. You know, Winston, Ray, Peter shows up.
yeah.
That was a fun moment. For Janine's got a gauntlet thing, which I imagine that's from a cartoon or something.
Probably.
Because I know she did suit up in the real Ghostbusters at some points.
Yeah. Bill Murray is just wearing sunglasses for some reason, like at the end of the movie.
Yeah, there was like a moment he's got sunglasses on. I think he even whispered to you, he was just wearing those that day.
Yeah. Just like, why does he have sunglasses on? He's like, because he thinks they look cool.
It's like
they do look cool.
he wasn't wearing them before, but now he's wearing them.
Yeah. I do like when Vickman shows up at the end and he kind of like hits the wall and takes out like the little bottle of liquor, and you're just like, who needs courage? Like,
that's a great touch.
Yeah.
Also, that's some old ass liquor.
I guess that makes it better.
Depending on the liquor, I guess
Yeah.
it should be fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably been there since, depending on when they actually shut down as a unit, at least the late 90s, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
They do mention the 90s. Like, there's that really good line where it's like the fire master is trying to, like, shoot his fire out, but his lighter is out of lighter fluid, and he's just like, does anybody have a light? And, like, Ray's like, I quit smoking in the 90s. And then, like, Bill Murray says, like, and I'm proud of you, and I still am. Like,
Proud of you then, proud of you now.
yeah, because he did smoke a lot in that first Ghostbusters movie.
And not so much in the second one.
Yeah. I think both him and Winston smoked in the first Ghostbusters movie.
I feel like all of them were smoking.
Probably.
Maybe not Egon, but I feel like everyone was smoking in that first one. Cigars, cigarettes, just nonstop. It was crazy. And then maybe you see a cigar for like a second in the second movie.
Yeah. But they acknowledged it.
I guess so. I guess that's sort of referencing how the fact that all of a sudden no one was smoking by the second movie.
Yeah.
Because it's like they were trying to quit and then they quit.
Yeah. So, good on them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fun, solid movie. I don't know how well it'll do because, you know, Dune's doing really well and Godzilla Kong is coming up, so it could just get like pushed to the side.
Yeah, I mean, you know, our theater had enough people in it.
There's a surprising amount of people.
Surprising amount of people dressed like Ghostbusters too.
There's just that one family.
I thought there was another guy too that had a Ghostbusters thing on.
I just saw 3 people.
Well, that was enough.
It's not a common thing, at least around here.
Yeah. It's just like, you don't see that every day.
But you know what? They didn't, you know, even though the last one kind of had like a little sequel hook of sorts with that, we're going to reopen the firehouse and, oh, what's going on with that containment unit? Here we're just like, we just threw in one more joke and, yeah, you want another one, show up. You don't? Well, you got 4.
Yeah. Yeah, and, you know, who knows? Like, I feel like Ghostbusters Afterlife was kind of like a sleeper movie where it was kind of like, you know, it didn't do like huge money, but it made enough for a sequel, and who knows, maybe this will kind of like do the same thing.
Yeah, if they kept the budget sane.
Yeah. I would say if you like Ghostbusters, go watch this movie. It's pretty fun. It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I guess with that being said, that's the Out of Touch podcast for this week. Go watch Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
It's too many empires.